on blast.
I'm John Chidley Hill.
And I am Sheldon Alexander.
And this is You Killed It, the podcast about the challenge. Sheldon, I don't know if you saw it, but today, longtime listener, Chauncey Tellez, I think it's Tellez. Sorry, Chaunce. Thanked us. He just like thanked all the podcasts that he listens to, and we really appreciate that, Chaunce.
Yeah.
And in his message to us, he said he appreciates all our insight about reality TV, all our talk about the challenge, and also insight into what life is like in Canada. And today is a special day. It's a big day in Canada. For those of you who are not Canadian, it is the first ever National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, which is a day to commemorate all of the Indigenous children who have died during the colonization of Canada. Now, for those of you who somehow have not picked up on this over the course of listening to this podcast, I am a straight white guy, and I'm always on these issues. I'm reluctant to speak out, not because I don't believe in them or anything, but I'm aware of my role, right? Like, too often, straight people, white people, and men make things about them. So when it comes to Black Lives Matter or Indigenous issues, I like to take a step back because I don't want to add my voice or overshadow the voice of an Indigenous person. But we were going to record this podcast anyway, and it, I think, would be a disservice to our listeners and a disservice to my friends and family who are Indigenous. I know I've mentioned this in the past, but I have cousins on both my mom's and dad's side of the family who are Indigenous. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with what's going on, earlier this summer in Canada, there was the discovery of several mass unmarked graves of children at residential schools across Canada. It's ongoing. They're undoubtedly going to find more. And at this point, they have found thousands of bodies. And if you're not familiar with what a residential school is, these were schools funded by or run by the Canadian government, often sponsored by Christian churches, where Indigenous children were taken from their homes, taken from their families, and the phrase was, had the Indian beaten out of them. So they weren't allowed to speak their native language. They weren't allowed to practice their native culture, wear their native dress. They tried to make them as white and as Christian as possible. Horrifically, many of them were killed or died due to abuse or maltreatment. A lot of them were molested. And because of the technology that's now available, a lot of the First Nation bands in Canada have started to search the grounds of the residential schools where they're finding these unmarked graves. And that sort of came to a head in May of this year with the discovery of hundreds of bodies at a school in Kelowna, British Columbia. It's sort of like Canada's Black Lives Matter moment, although we also had a Black Lives Matter moment here. But it's, for American listeners, it's sort of the equivalent to the death of George Floyd. Not shocking to people that pay attention to these things, but still a horrible and upsetting thing. So we just want to acknowledge that this is a big day, and we hope that it leads to some healing for our Indigenous brothers and sisters and friends and relatives. And if you want to learn more, something that a lot of people are doing, because it's not supposed to be a day of celebration, but rather a day of education and commemoration, is there's like a 35-minute film that you can watch for free called The Unforgotten, which you can find online at theunforgotten.cma.ca. I'll say that again for you. theunforgotten.cma.ca. And before we get into all the jokes and making fun of Amber B and Nelson and Burna and a whole lot, we both strongly recommend that you check that out. If you're Canadian, American, or from elsewhere in the world, look into some of the resources out there, because by educating yourself, it's the first step toward healing a grievous harm done in this country. And let's not kid ourselves, Indigenous populations around the world were and continue to be harmed by the history of and legacy of colonization. So
Yeah.
I think some good food for thought if you weren't aware of this. And, you know, we don't shy away from racial issues on this podcast, which I'm very proud of. We're a racialized podcast, which I think is cool. And I think honestly adds to the You Killed It experience. And although neither of us are Indigenous, we couldn't let this go by.
Yeah, I mean, that was incredibly well said. And, obviously I wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said. And one of the things that I love about this platform that we've created is that we've given ourselves this platform for not only us, but also we'll read comments from the listeners and viewers to how much you guys also appreciate that wide range of topics that we'll talk about, whether it's serious, whether it's funny, whether it's just jokes, but you guys give us the confidence to know that we can do that and take those sidebars when are needed to discuss something as serious as that, what this day is in Canada. And we've done it before when racism has come up on the show or in real life. We did it when I had COVID last year. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just been multiple times where we've been able to, we're here because we talk about the challenge, but the platform we've created is more about the community and things that matter to us, me and you, but also the greater us in terms of the people that are listening to the pod. So thanks for saying all of that so eloquently, because
No problem.
I'm not that eloquent or smart.
Sure you are.
I'm glad we are such a good dynamic duo to be able to boost each other up here and there. And don't worry, we'll get to the silliness of the ridiculous episode. But as we've said often, sometimes there are things that are bigger than MTV The Challenge. And we wouldn't be doing ourselves justice of having this platform if we didn't take those times to step outside for a bit. So thanks.
Yeah,
John.
well, my pleasure. And like I said, I'm always reluctant to sort of step into the space because I don't want to dominate it. Because again, I recognize my privilege. But also, I couldn't out of loyalty and respect for my friends and family, I couldn't not say something. So,
yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening. Should we talk about the challenge? Should we get down to the funny haha?
Yeah, I mean, I normally try to pride myself in having not so clever segues into stuff.
There's no segue from this, Sheldon.
No, there's no segue. And I would always say my old coworker Sid Sixero was always the best at stuff like that, and I always envied how good he was at it. But I remember there'd just be certain moments where they'd be switching topics from either something ridiculous to something serious, and he'd just be like, "Oh, you just say, all right, moving on," and then you move on to whatever it is, right? So, moving on, episode 8.
We start off, obviously, with everyone coming back into the house after Emmy's bold move and big win to get Uncle CT as her partner.
Mm-hmm.
And Devin explains the math behind...
Everyone's celebrating except for Burna. Burna looked real salty.
I mean, we're going to see a lot of saltiness from Burna.
Salty Burna, yeah.
Salty Burna. Devin explains the math behind the Veteran Alliance, talking about how the rookies keep making it easy. This is a great point. By not breaking up a veteran team. Like if they break up a double vet team, of which there's more and more, of course, then that forces their hand, but it hasn't happened yet. Exactly. And Kyle says it's incredible that the rookies haven't pieced together what's going on.
So here's my issue. I wonder if they've had this conversation within the house, because it appears as if the rookies we know how the episode ends, but my point is more so the rookies are obviously learning the game on the fly. So did the vets make the mistake of almost by hyping up, rookie teams, blah, 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 blah. Did they almost game themselves into the rookies figuring it out? I don't know.
Well, actually, there was some insight. This was a few weeks ago, but Corey Al, who was one of the early eliminations,
Mm-hmm.
someone tweeted at him and said, like, it seems to me that the rookies were at a real disadvantage
Okay.
because they had, obviously, they're coming from all over the world, so most of them had never met before. There were some language,
actually, yeah.
yeah, there are some language barriers.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey also made the point, and he confirmed, he's like, yes, this was absolutely an issue. Like, where some of us saw what was happening,
Mm-hmm.
but couldn't get other people on board. And he made the very fair point. Some of them have never seen the challenge before.
Also true.
So they don't know. So, like, it's one thing to be told something's going to go down. It's another thing to see it's going down.
Yeah. Totally agree.
On that note, we've got Berna, who is disappointed that Emmy took Uncle CT. She says she feels betrayed.
I'm not down with this Uncle CT stuff, especially when he's come back in, like, you know,
better shape,
like a younger CT. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not really Papa or old man CT anymore. This looks like, you know, like a Benjamin Button CT kind of thing going on, where he's like, is that the right reference? Aging backwards?
Yeah.
Benjamin Button, is that the right move? Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. But got to be more confident in my cliches here. But you know what I'm saying? Like, CT, it seems kind of counter to what's actually happening to CT, calling him Uncle CT. But anyways.
That's fair. Well, I was going to say, so she's really mad about it. She's saying in confessional that she's really hurt, you know, this and that. And then Nelson goes to congratulate Emmy. And there's also like, hey, like, why didn't you give Burna a heads up?
Mm-hmm.
And this scene was so interesting to me.
Okay.
Because it revealed so much. First of all, Devin, who's part of the Hot Sauce Alliance that now includes Emmy,
yeah,
does a great job of deflecting Nelson's question with a shiny object by saying, hey, she voted for me. Like, Burna is not what she seems. Nelson, you and I are supposed to be a team here, but she voted for me, which is critical because Amber overhears this information, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But Devin says in confessional, and I want to shout out myself for pointing this out.
Okay.
Someone saw how Burna voted because they can, like, it's like writing a test in elementary school. You can see the person next to you. You can see the person in front of you. Yeah. So someone saw that Burna voted for Devin and Amber B, told Devin, and maybe Devin saw it himself, but Devin's like, yeah, I'm not down with that.
No.
And then Emmy tells Nelson he's misplacing his trust. And I know you and I have been hard on Emmy, but she made a point on social media last week, which is very fair. She said, I'm competing for $1 million. I've known Burna for 3 weeks. We got along.
Yeah.
But that's not enough to, like, counterbalance $1 million. Yeah. Like, she didn't quite phrase it that way. I'm paraphrasing, but that's a very fair point.
It's a great point. And it's also a reminder too of, you got to remember, right? Emmy is out here clout chasing on the challenge, right? Like, she released an album. They had this whole like promo thing for her song. So like, this is about, you know, some people come on the reality show and they think everything is real, like the friendships, the relationships, and that's how they kind of handle it. But it takes people a few trips on the show to realize that different people move in different ways. So while if Burna comes in and she's singing, oh, you know, this person seems really cool, me and this person really vibe, everything's going well, like this is someone I trust, and there's not a lot of people that I can trust because I don't really know that many people. And so you let your guard down. There's vulnerability there. Whereas Emmy was just kind of like, oh, I was just saying whatever because, like, yo, we're all here trying to win money, no? So you understand like the differences between the two. The Nelson part of this to me is interesting because I think that Nelson actually handled that conversation very maturely. Is that a word, maturely?
Yeah.
So the reason I say that is because I thought he brought it up to Emmy very well and polite. Whereas before,
Yep.
his energy beforehand, like old Nelly, might have been a lot more like hyped up, like, how dare you do that? That's my girl, blah, blah, blah. You know, like we've seen that Nelson before. Do you know what I'm saying? Where he would have came
Yep.
in on a whole different vibe. Like, why would you do that to her? Blah, blah, blah. You can't do that to her. Like, you mess with her, you mess with me. Blah, blah, blah. Like, couldn't you see that from Nelly?
Yeah.
And instead he came in very calm and he's like, no, I understand. And his tone was more calm. It was very chill. I was like, whoa, okay, Nelly. You know, so that was the thing that kind of threw me off. Your part about Devin is totally right, though, right? Devin is mad, but he also is doing that to shift the blame for sure, because he knows that has to do with Amber more than it does have to do with him, right?
Yeah.
And he knows Burna,
100%.
like it's not surprising that Burna and Amber have beef. We've known that for weeks now, right? So great job by Devin to throw that off. And also, couldn't Burna or Nelson have just said like, oh, maybe it was a burn vote,
Yeah.
right? Like there's so many ways out of it, but as mentioned, great move by Devin.
I have to talk more about Nelson. I agree with everything that you said, but I have to point out, and you can find it out there. It exists.
Mm-hmm.
You might recall I said at the top of the season. I don't know this for sure, but there is a lot of internet chatter that between seasons Nelson and Amber were a thing.
Oh.
There was video where they did a live together that was in person. They were like drinking, like you get like Amber's holding a glass of wine, and the sexual tension was thick.
Okay.
Super thick. So
interesting. Okay.
There might be some wrinkles to the Amber Berna Nelson situation, even though Amber is with Jeremiah. I also, at one point, Nelson says in confessional to camera, in response to Emmy telling him, like, hey, you might be misplacing your trust. Nelson says, my relationship with Berna is not fake. Believe me, I care about her a lot. Which Nelson is growing on me. But it underscores how dumb he is. Because both things he said, those two sentences, he's missing the point. First of all, no one's saying that their relationship is fake. No one's saying that it's a showmance. What they're saying is that he shouldn't trust her gameplay-wise. And then when he says, believe me, I care about her a lot, no one's saying, Nelson, you're shady. No one's saying, Nelson, you don't care about her. They're saying, Nelson, you're horny for her. You like her a lot.
Yeah.
And it's blinding you to how she's playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We don't think it's fake. We think you're dumb, Nelson. That's the issue. No one's questioning his intentions. All the heat's on Berna.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Speaking of heat, we have a skinny dipping scene.
So I want to make a comment here. And I don't know if it was to fill time, but because we mentioned the last two episodes were only an hour, whereas this one was bumped back up to an hour and a half. But I'd mentioned in the past how much less of this stuff we've been getting lately on the challenge, right? In this whole, like, is it too CBS, like mainstream? Are they trying to dumb it down? So I was shocked by this scene, right? Because I was just kind of like, whoa, this is like, because I would have assumed that more of this stuff would be going on, not only on this season, but prior seasons, but it seemed like we were seeing less and less of it. So when this popped up, I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And it caught me off guard. And also the thing that caught me off guard was I wasn't expecting that from Big T, right? Tori has her moments where she's out here thirst trapping for sure. And Bettina, we just met. So cool. Do you, Bettina? Not mad at you at all. We're getting to know her, but those three just kind of seemed out of the blue, like, hey, we're going skinny dipping, hey, into the pool. And I was like, you know what? This is a challenge vibe that I've been missing a little. Just fun in the sun, hanging out by the pool. We need more of that, like it's an extreme, we talk about this all the time, an extremely beautiful cast. And so why not highlight more of those moments? Not mad at it. I wasn't thrown off by that. What I was thrown off by, no, I'll let you go first, and I'll tell you what I was thrown off by.
I have it, just like listening to you speak, I have an idea about what's going on the challenge.
Okay.
Because I agree with your belief that they might be trying to move this to CBS and tone it down. Mm-hmm. But I also think that they're limiting when they can drink and where they can go when they've been drinking. Because we have not seen, after the club scenes, mm-hmm. we have not seen a single scene where anyone is going skinny dipping. Like in the past, they get drunk and then someone would like toss the other person in the pool. Yeah. And like we saw that the first night, like you might recall Devin's striptease for Michelle. Mm-hmm. But I think that they're not allowed to drink, or like I feel like maybe they're not allowed near the pool for insurance reasons when they've been drinking.
Makes sense.
So you need a free spirit like Tori, who will do shit like this when she's sober.
Mm-hmm. In daytime.
And like,
I got you.
The daywalker Emmanuel is liking what he's
I was going to say.
I don't think he took off anything. Well, he took off his shorts, but he didn't get full naked. He didn't go buck.
The joke of calling him a filthy pervert for watching, I thought that was kind of funny. But this is a part to me that was super weird, okay? Like, he's liking Tori. He's liking Tori's vibe. Tori's kind of liking him. This is my line of the episode out of sheer confusion. Okay? Because Tori says, Emmanuel is so interesting. He's from Romania. He's kind of like a tatted Dracula. So cool. Like, he checks all of the boxes. He's really cute. My reaction is, what? Hold on. All you said was he's from Romania. He's like a tatted Dracula. So cool. Are tatted Draculas cool? Okay, sure. He checks all of the boxes. What boxes? Being tatted and being a Dracula? And being from Rome? Like, what are these boxes on Tori's list that he checks? He's really cute. Okay, that's something I could, cool. I understand that. But do you understand what I'm saying here? I was so confused by that sentence. I'm like, this has to be edited because it doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Again, he's from Romania. He's kind of like a tatted Dracula. So cool. Like, he checks all of the boxes. He's really cute.
Listen, we've all been in isolation for a long time. We're all in horny jail. Our lists are getting shorter of what we're looking for. Although, listener Mandy Alperin, better known as Blazer Girl, Blazer Girl 77. Okay.
Yes. Long-time
listener, has an excellent point.
Okay.
She says, my favorite musical montage of the evening, and we're going to talk about the music in a second, in case you missed it. And she showed us the American version. Thank you, Mandy. Ooh, then she says, also, can we agree that Emmanuel is basically a Romanian version of Jordan with more tattoos and accessories? Ooh. And I have to say, I see it between the bad salad with the bowl cut, with the suspenders, like the overall.
It's almost like Jordan in disguise.
Right?
And like a bad disguise.
And I gotta give Mandy a shout. The video she tagged us in, like Emmanuel looks his most Jordan-esque.
Okay. What was the song? Because I didn't listen to it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you. The songs I got it because of Mandy, but also our foreign correspondent, D. Pinsoff, came through once again.
I like it. I appreciate it. Like, this is what I mean when I keep saying that, yes, we're the two people speaking, but this is really a group effort, right? This project every week, it's a group project, group assignment. We all play a part. We appreciate y'all.
So for the skinny dipping scene, it was Right There by Chingy.
Yes. Oh, I'm so mad now. Oh,
for the third heat of the daily competition,
Mhm.
It was Astronaut in the Ocean by Masked Wolf.
Okay.
You know it from TikTok. I'm sure you're a big TikTok guy, right?
Definitely not, but okay.
No, we're way too old for that shit.
Yeah.
And then for the club scene,
I have a TikTok rant that like I really need like some answers to. I don't know what the platform is for my TikTok rant. And maybe it's this pod because I'm really confused. Sorry, the tangent is coming. I'm hold that point because I want to continue because I also have a Chingy thing that I want to say after this. So we're going
okay.
off the rails here for like 2 minutes.
Okay, so can I just say what the third song was, and then we'll just let Sheldon cook.
Okay.
And then for the club scene, a song I don't know the name of. Guillotine by Mansionaire and No MB. I feel so old trying to say these names.
No
Do you
idea.
know it?
No idea. I don't know.
Oh, we just age. I feel old. Like I think
So
I just got more gray hair.
here's my thing about the TikTok. Like I get why all social media platforms became successful, right? Like it's like the same thing, you know, sex sells, right? Like I understand that. So a lot of TikTok is like people dancing and stuff like that. The one trend I don't get, because like kids are kids, right? Whatever kids are on, cool. Do your thing, kids. Do your things, young bucks, whatever, right? The thing I don't get is like the middle-aged women dancing in TikTok videos. I
Mm.
don't understand the logic behind it in terms of like why. Like, who are you doing this for? What is your thought process in dancing horribly? Because some of them are not like, and again, I'm not on TikTok. So the TikToks I see are things that like filter over to Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Or like the reels or whatever. But like this
Mm.
trend of like middle-aged women, and I'm saying middle-aged, and I don't mean middle-aged. I probably just mean like grown ass people. I'll say that, right? Dancing horribly, like offbeat or like thinking they're on beat or maybe thinking they got like some Beyonce vibes or something, but it's just not it. I don't understand like how this is a trend. And like, do your friends do you ask your friends or your significant others or whoever's close to you, like, hey, should I post this? Does this look good? Or is it just like you're going to get likes anyways? Cause most of social media is just filled with thirst bags, just like liking videos. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just need to understand the mindset of it. That's what really confused me. There's so many videos that I see that I'm just like, wait, what is the purpose behind this? Like, why did you do this? You're not dancing on beat. You're off beat. Like, this just looks awkward. I guess if it makes you feel good, cool. I guess that's the end result. But I'm just more trying to get in the headspace of like, why? That's all. Maybe someone has answers. I'm not expecting you to have the answer, John, but that's my first question.
Okay.
After that, I just want to say about Chingy. That was a moment in time right there. That's a moment in time. If you were outside, you know, as us old heads say, if you were outside in the club when you know that song came out, it's a moment in time right there. That just brought back memories. That just made me feel warm and fuzzy inside. That's all I'm saying.
I was never a big Right There fan,
It's
but
just a catchy song.
yeah, I just like for that sort of like fun street anthem, like
Yeah.
dance sort of song. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just feel there's better options. Like give me Tune It and
Totally.
Boot It.
Like, hold on. I couldn't tell you the last time I listened to Chingy, right? Like, that's not
Yeah.
in one of my like Apple Music searches. But if that song were just to like randomly come on, how could you not just do a little two-step, you know, like you're just bopping a little, like how could you not, right? Like that's what I'm saying.
It's also definitely one of
I
those
might
songs where
even
you
make
only
a TikTok video. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
it's one of those songs where you only need to hear 30 seconds and then like
Mm-hmm.
on to
True.
the next one.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop things here. We can keep things moving here. Back to the tatted Dracula. So, listeners, basically, I have a bunch of questions. Tell me, did you understand what Tori was saying? Tell me your thoughts on the middle-aged people dancing on TikTok. or I shouldn't say middle age because that sounds derogatory, and I don't mean it to be derogatory because I'm talking about people like my age, and I don't think of myself as middle age. So maybe I should just say grown ass. Maybe that's it, right? Maybe that's what I should say. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on that. And how much do you like right there? 3 questions for you guys and gals. Please hit us up. Let us know your thoughts. That's what we want on this pod. But I will stop interrupting the pod and taking us off on tangents. And I will continue with Jeremiah, who we find out is very frustrated with Big T. And he just desperately is wanting a new partner. And again, we're here at a week where someone else, another rookie, is saying, hey, I want to go into the elimination. And I'm so confused by it, right? Because it's like, why do you want to go into the elimination? The point is to avoid the elimination. But hey, here we are. But I want to ask you, do you agree with Jeremiah and just his thought process on Big T and not wanting to be partnered with Big T?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Because, first of all, Big T is a proven commodity.
Okay.
She was sneaky good last season with CT. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, Big T complements Jeremiah's skill set. Right? There are few people, as we say on this show, that are a true 5-tool player. Mm-hmm. There are a few people that have it all. CT has it all. Smashley has it all. Then the list gets shorter from there. There's other people that have been on the show in the past, Johnny Bananas, Wes, Jordan, who've got it all, that are good at puzzles, are good at competitions, are good at the politics, good at the social game.
Yeah.
Jeremiah and Big T are both not as well-rounded. They're not as complete. Mm-hmm. And you know what? She's a good swimmer. She's good at puzzles. She's arguably one of the better political players on this show.
Yeah.
So, she also has to recognize she's what, like 4'11"? Like, she's supposed to be tiny. She's never going to be dominant physically.
Yeah.
So, is it more worth her time to be, making the rounds, talking to people, being popular, picking their brains, observing? Or is it more helpful to be carrying a sack of flour or whatever they were doing up the hill, right? Like,
yeah.
It's interesting. Like, and again, she's not a disaster. She's not a disaster out there. And also, why isn't Jeremiah being like, hey, CT, you were partnered with Big T last season. How did you motivate her to work out? Right? Like, he's not solutions oriented.
No, that's fair. And I feel another part of this is we don't really know Jeremiah yet.
No.
Right? So we don't know enough about him to know if he's a good partner or a bad partner, or if this is like more of a him thing than it is a Big T thing. Right? Because as you just listed, we know a lot about Big T. We don't really know much about Jeremiah at all. I mean, what we do know is that he likes Amber. That's about it.
I'm glad you mentioned Amber, because Amber and Josh are having a conversation about like what's going to happen next. Yeah. And Amber is telling Josh that she wants Burna gone because of what she gathered from Devin, that Burna voted for her.
Okay.
This is such an overreach by Amber.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I agree.
This is so unnecessary.
Totally.
And we're going to see this play out throughout the episode. Amber needs to do way less, especially in regards to a player that no one really likes aside from Nelson. Like, Burna already has an enemy in Ashley, and Burna's a rookie. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, for sure. I know we talked about, I feel like there was another thing that we were going to do every episode. And, other than our line of the episode and who killed it, right? And maybe it's the doing too much. I feel like we talked about this before, but we just didn't do it. But I feel like the doing too much award is a thing that if we remember and on this podcast that we produce on the fly and go off on random tangents about TikTok and Chingy, that the doing too much award. But if we're doing it, Amber definitely, like, I don't know what she was on in this episode. And we'll get to the deliberation because that was obviously another example of Amber just doing too much. And I don't understand her strategy at all or what's going on. But everything about her in this episode was just super strange to me. Like, I don't understand where she's coming from at all, other than if you told me her plan was just to make sure that she was in the episode. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm just making sure I get camera time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be in the mix. I don't know. That was strange. Do you want to get to the actual challenge?
Yeah, dive bomb, which is pretty straightforward. Partners take turns gathering underwater puzzle pieces using I don't know what it's called, like a swim jet. TJ had a phrase.
Idea. That thing was
cool as hell.
Did we just say the same thing at the same time? Is that a thing that
just happened? I think we spend exactly the right amount of time to get it, Sheldon. And then they have to swim to a yacht, climb a rope to get a key, swim back using the swim jet, put together the puzzle, and whoever does it first overall is the agency. There's going to be 3 rounds of quote unquote randomly selected teams competing. I got to tell you, I liked this competition because I felt like it had a bit of everything.
Yeah, I thought it was super awesome. I want to know what the budget was for this episode, because to just rent a yacht, like, there's no need for that yacht, right? Like, what was the need for the yacht? It was probably like for them to rent those whatever water jet skis or whatever those things were. Maybe it was just like part of the package, you know, like, well, if you get the deluxe package, you can also get the yacht for the day, and like maybe the crew got to party on it or something. I don't know.
But I have a theory about the yacht, because TJ referred to it as his yacht.
Okay.
But he always says, like, this is my car, this is my helicopter, this is my challenge, whatever. But they have to house TJ somewhere. And they also have to, given the COVID-19 situation, they have to keep him isolated. So that might have actually been TJ's yacht. Like, that they might have actually rented it, and like that's where he's staying in the off hours.
I like it. But in terms of this actual challenge, I thought it was really cool too, because it was super well shot. Like, all the underwater shots, like, I was mesmerized as like a TV nerd loser liking pictures and how things are framed and all that stuff. Like, I thought it was a really cool challenge. And we talk about it a lot, where sometimes challenges don't translate to the viewer in terms of how difficult or how hard or what exactly is going on. This one was just great. Like, a great job. The underwater camera angles, when you could see how someone was struggling to find, you know, their key under the water, right? And like struggling how to use the machine, and then stopping it, and then going under to get, like, it was just awesome. It was awesome. It was a really cool challenge. And because you're right, it did have a little bit of everything in it. So it took me until, I want to say, after the first heat, I was kind of like, okay, I think I got this figured out. But then the second heat, I thought, oh, okay, so this just comes down to the puzzle. Yeah. Ultimately, this will come down to the puzzle, because you could be the first one there and it doesn't matter, because the other teams aren't going to be that far behind unless you're Jeremiah and Big T. Poor Big T. She couldn't get up on the thing. Jeremiah was like going around on that thing for so long. But other than that, everyone else was pretty close.
I mean, it was hard to watch Big T struggle so badly when he'd been talking so much shit about our girl. Like, that's not cool. About our girl.
Oh, you're saying to watch Jeremiah struggle so much after he's talking shit about Big T. Yeah.
I had some questions that arose from this, though. Okay. Not Jeremiah and Big T, because I know what your answers are. But there's a few things that happened that were, to me, a little weird.
Okay. I'm listening.
For starters, did you catch that when Logan was underwater using like the little jet or whatever, he had his mouth open underwater? So he's just like catching it. Yeah. Why would you do that?
I have no idea. That did look, I mean, it looked cool. It was a cool shot, but like, it is kind of strange. Not kind of strange, very strange.
Like you
Like,
would definitely swallow some of that.
oh yeah. Yeah, it was a strange strategy. Agreed.
Even
Noted.
it would even be like not hydrodynamic. Like it would create drag.
Mhm.
Like there's
Yeah,
so many reasons to not do that. I do want to shout out. I think this is my line of the episode, and you're gonna
okay.
hate it.
Oh,
But
okay.
did you catch that when they were showing the teams that for Emmy and CT it said Uncle CT on the graphics?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
That killed me. Shout out to the editor that did that.
I
Because they
did
had
not
Corey
notice that. I like it.
explaining it, right? Like it was off of a commercial break and Corey was going over it.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he's like, we got Emmy and Uncle CT. And then the like cryon comes up. I was like, hilarious. Just like a nice subtle touch.
I'm trying to find it now. Oh, but I thought you were going to say your line of the episode was Amanda when they were talking about the teams. And Amanda says about her and Kyle, she's like, I'm praying Kyle has some brains behind that Botox. I thought that was pretty good. So
this whole competition was great. But to your point about how it all boiled down to the puzzle, the winners of each heat were Devin and Amber, Ashley and Josh, and CT and Emmy.
Okay.
Are we surprised that Devin, Ashley, and CT were the fastest when they are probably the three smartest people in the house?
So the one thing I didn't like was you can't have so many puzzle kings, right?
That's true.
And I mean,
what is this? The Holy Roman Empire? Come on.
Like Devin can't be the puzzle king if CT's around. And can you even be claimed a king if you've never won?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's tough. Now, Millionaire Mitchell, cool. I can accept that, right? CT, he's out here winning chips. Can't get mad at that. But I still feel that it was kind of weird. Like, are we okay with them being like, is there who's not on this season that could contend for the puzzle champ?
Anissa.
Okay.
Right? Like
but
she was on
again,
the
falls
season
into the category of hasn't won.
Yeah. Wes is typically pretty good at puzzles.
Yeah.
Emily is typically pretty good at puzzles, isn't she?
Sarah, right?
Sarah's the puzzle queen for sure.
See, there can't be many. No, like there has to be just one challenge king and challenge queen of puzzles. That's my
I'd say
I just made up that rule arbitrarily because there's no reason why there can't be more than one. But I just found it annoying because every time someone else went, it's like, oh, this person's a puzzle king. You got to be careful. You got to watch out for them.
I'd say CT is definitely the best of the men, and Ashley probably is the best of the women.
Okay.
Right?
So yeah. On currently this season, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean of like the current, like I would say Sarah Rice is better than Ashley at puzzles, but she's not on anymore, and I doubt she'll ever be back on.
Damn Johnny Bananas. So yes, as you mentioned, the actual winners are CT and Emmy. Emmy is so happy. And I was happy to see the salty Burna shots because Burna was so salty still.
I love that she shot the dirtiest look at her partner, Huey, who likes Emmy and congratulated her. Like Huey's like, oh, congrats, and applauded it. Burna's like,
and she under her breath, well done, CT. So here's the thing, right? I know it sucks, and we have more time to talk about because this Burna and Emmy thing comes to a head in the deliberation. But I've been saying this a lot lately in real life, and maybe I don't think I said it to you, or maybe I did in our pre-recording conversation where we were discussing some life things, I'll say. And I've been saying this a lot in my normal life, just in the past few days dealing with some stuff. But like, I couldn't help but watch salty, I was about to say salty Emmy, but it's salty Burna, and just think, at the end of the day, the game is a game. You got to just get over it at some point. And she's letting it affect her so much. And hey, maybe she needed the next scene to come a little quicker because it was time to pop some bottles, right? I like how they set that up. Hey, what are we doing tonight? right? Made it seem like it was, got me hyped up for the night. And then I was disappointed again because we don't know what the music is.
Well, we do thanks to a D, but we don't get
Yes.
to experience it, right?
It's true.
So I have a question for you. It's been a while since I've been to a club,
Okay.
mainly because of COVID-19.
That's fair.
But what's your stance on wearing a toque and or a leather jacket into the club? Because Nelson and TT are wearing toques, and all I can think about is how hot I would get. I personally hate when anyone wears a toque indoors.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, our American listeners would call it a beanie, which is, come on, it's a toque.
Oh yeah, Americans don't know what a toque is. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I know.
That's a good call. Okay, I got you. I'm
But
with you.
where do you stand on that?
John, sometimes I think we do this podcast and there's times like right now where I'm just like, you cut to the core of me, man. Cause it's like you just set this up on a tee that I'm just going to go on another tangent.
Great, let's hear it.
So I've coined the phrase style over comfort.
Okay.
Right. And it's because, and I'm not saying that I'm for this, but you look at certain people and you can tell it's like, oh, you went for style over comfort because there's no way that you're comfortable right now. Like you're sweating buckets. And I always say that the starting point for me, which, some of our American listeners might famously know Toronto for a festival that happens each and every summer in the city of Toronto called Carabana. And I will always refer to it as Carabana and not whatever corporate BS they try to call it now. But I digress. Style over comfort is always the funniest thing for me when I see when you're people watching at Carabana, because it's always hot AF. And you have people who have now saved up money to buy like their freshest outfit and fresh kicks and all that to rock to Carabana. And it's like, bro, you can't rock your fresh J's to Carabana. Someone's just stepping on your shoes. That makes no sense. Style over comfort. Plus, those aren't comfortable to be walking around in all day long. Again, style over comfort. But the biggest thing that I always remember and I laugh at, right? If we go back to like, I guess it would be late 90s, early 2000s. Remember when like jean suits were really popular?
Yeah.
Right. And like that was a thing. You had like the Rockaware or Fat Farm jean suit. Like that was like the style. So that year, I'll never forget Carabana. Everybody was wearing jean suits. And I remember it being like 35 degrees outside. And I'm like laughing because I'm in like a tank top. Right. I won't use the derogatory term, but I'm in a tank top and shorts. And I think I had like a straw hat or something to like shield from the sun because it's like 35 degrees outside. And there are dudes, like mad dudes rocking full on jean suits. And it's like almost 40 degrees outside. And sorry, I know I took us on another crazy wild tangent, but that always stuck in my mind. And so when you started going down that line, I was like, oh no, I have so much on this because it makes me laugh so much. But that's how I always chalk it up to style over comfort. Because there's no way you're comfortable. You're sweating buckets in that, bro. And same thing went for the year after when like velour suits became a thing.
Oh,
like, come on. It's like 30 plus degrees, but you saved up your money to have your fresh outfit for the weekend and you got to rock that fit.
I got to say, you're totally right on everything. Like we're in absolute agreement.
Okay.
And I have two things I want to add. First of all, a common mistake is that people think that because Toronto is in Canada, it's cold here. Oh. It's cold here in winter, not in summer. I'll do the quick math. You mentioned it was 35 degrees
right now. Shit, hot up in the 6. Sorry.
Just had you mentioned it's 35 degrees Celsius. That's 102 Fahrenheit. Just to do some quick maths. And that's before humidity, and it gets humid here. The other thing I wanted to say,
that correction too, because there would have been people listening like, "What do you mean 35, almost 40? Like that's not warm at all."
I got you. Big
clarification there. Thank you. See, this is what I mean. This is a duo right there, right? I like it. Sorry.
The other thing I have to add is that when I was in undergrad at the University of Toronto, I went to a speaker series. I forget who was speaking, but who should show up but Paul Gross. Our American
Okay.
listeners and listeners around the world might not know who Paul Gross is, but if you've ever
Okay.
watched the sitcom Due South, he played the Mountie. He's a very handsome, very Canadian looking man. And he showed up in it was the mid 2000s, is like 2005. He was
Okay.
wearing a denim jacket,
Mhm.
like a jean jacket, a denim shirt, and jeans.
Wow. Okay.
And I just
That's
remember
a lot.
looking ahead at him and thinking about like rap music videos where guys were wearing like the jean suits. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's dead. This guy, I mean, at that point he would have been in his 40s. Like,
Yeah.
this is over. Like, that
Yeah.
look is
Mhm.
done.
And the other thing too, you got to remember for our younger listeners, the jean suits were baggy, right? Like that was a
Yeah.
style too. So it's like huge. And I don't know if that makes it hotter or colder. I'm just trying to give the proper visual, right? And now it's funny to think back about how ridiculous it was when you see how well, I know I used to dress like that and have like super baggy clothes, right?
I
But it's
wasn't going
just
to call you
hilarious.
out.
No, no, no. Hey, listen. No shame. I say this all the time on this pod. No shame in my game at
I,
all.
I have I have clothing from when I was in high school. I legit have a t-shirt
Mhm,
from high school that I could wear now. Like, it still fits me.
mhm.
Sheldon, I am fully 60 to 80 pounds heavier than I was in high school.
I think I mentioned on the pod, I've been doing like a massive reno in my house. So that came with a purge before the demo came, right? Before we did the demo. And so there were a bunch of things that I just had for a while that I was throwing out. And I remember I got to like a corner of clothes that I was just like, okay, I haven't worn any of this stuff in like decades. And it's the same thing that you're saying. There's some things I found from like high school. I'm like, this is baggy on me now. And I'm a fat grown ass man now. And these things are still big on me. How did I wear this in high school? It's so funny.
Speaking of so funny, we've
There we
got
go.
Jeremiah.
Segue game strong. Segue game strong. I like it.
We've got Jeremiah and Amber both making moves, I guess, in the club.
Sure.
They've clearly spoken to each other and have a game plan. So Jeremiah is telling Priscilla he needs a new partner.
Mhm.
So he's going to volunteer to go in.
Yeah.
And then Amber is talking game to Bettina and says she wants to go into elimination with and for Jeremiah to personally take Burna out. And then she goes to her erstwhile allies, Josh and Casey, to try and get them to vote her in / support her. I'm going to read to you my notes here. Amber, baby, no, what is you doing? Like, what is, you're in trouble when both Casey and Josh, Casey, who's repeatedly thrown you under the bus, Amber, is like, hey, why don't you sleep on that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what did you think of this, Sheldon?
It was incredible. And I'm tiptoeing how I'm about to say this.
She and Jeremiah don't have two brain cells to rub between the two of them.
No, that's not like, I don't know if I should go here. So I'm reserving the right to edit this part out.
Okay. Okay.
But it's like, when you have conversations with your friends and you're talking to them maybe about a relationship or something, and then
Yeah.
you can tell that your friends are telling you that you shouldn't do this, but they're tiptoeing around it. And they might say something like Casey and Josh were saying to Amber. It's like, maybe you want to sleep on that, like
Yeah.
that was the vibes that I was getting while watching this conversation. Cause it's just like, they're telling you this is a very bad idea without telling you explicitly this is a very bad idea. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think I tiptoed around that well enough.
Perfectly.
Fair enough.
Perfectly.
Yes.
I think we can keep it in.
So the point I'm getting at though is that the whole thing is just Amber doing way too much. First off, she's telling Bettina this, And Bettina's like, hey, that's so great. I think you're great, blah, blah, blah. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, wait a second. Bettina's just gassing up Amber because if she wants to go in, that means she doesn't have to go in. So of course she's going to think this is a great idea. Yeah, right. So that should be your first sign, Amber, that like, come on, consider the source here. Right. But also, you like, when did Amber where did all the tough talk come from all of a sudden? You want to go in and take out Burna? Like, why do you feel the need that you have to do that? Like, what part of the game is that? That's one of the dumbest things ever. It's terrible strategy. And you want to go in with Jeremiah, just like, what? That doesn't even make, in no world does any of that make sense. But I will say something. Casey has done a really good job this season. We're seeing a lot more of Casey's personality. And I laughed so hard in Casey's confessional where she's just like, what are you talking about, Amber? Like, why would you want to do that? And we know she's going to just back out of it anyways, right? She's saying she wants to do it now, but we all know that she's going to back out of it tomorrow. So like, what's the point in all this? And I'm like, thank you, Casey, for saying that. Because it's so true. She is all talk. And what did Amber say? Oh, I'm 90% sure I'm going in. What does that even mean?
Also, just imagine a world where Josh is like, hey, don't get emotional. Take your time and make a decision thoughtfully.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that when Amber B is watching this season back, she's like, you know what? Josh and Casey in that moment really did me a solid. Like, but they were really being rational.
Did you think that there was any chance that she was actually going to put herself in?
No. And you know how come we know? She never went to CT or Emmy and we're like, hey guys, here's the plan. Because they would have shown us.
She just gave herself so many outs, right? Like 90%, I'm 90% sure that I want to go in. Then she's like, I also want to see what the elimination is. And I was like, okay, you've given yourself like 8 outs. You're not going in. But the deliberation to me was super interesting because
there's a lot of moving parts here. Go ahead.
A lot of moving parts. And I think first off, so the thing that threw me off was this should be simple at this point. We all know Burna and Huey are going in. So then what's the need for everything that happened after? Didn't even understand. But we still get the beef between Burna and Emmy, which to be honest, I was kind of bored of and I was over it. To me. I don't know if you have more thoughts on that there.
I just thought it was the key part to this is that Priscilla, who, by the way, is super smart, and we're going to talk more about her later.
Yeah.
But she puts it out there. She's like, hey, I think people know this. Amber's saying that she wants to go in. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
And Amber gets defensive. And just like, Amber, you dummy. Of course, you've been telling people, Bettina, who's not in your alliance.
No.
In any way, shape, or form. You told Bettina that you want to go in. We know.
And she also acknowledged she's not in an alliance with Josh and Casey either, and she told them.
So, like, good for Priscilla for just like putting it out there. Jeremiah basically volunteers to go in, and like basically says that he wants to switch partners.
Yeah,
and I have to touch on this. Earlier in the season, we made a lot of jokes about Emmanuel being a vampire.
Yeah.
Your guy says that if anyone takes his partner, he'll drink their blood.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, we're allowed to make fun of this guy. Like,
I actually apologized. I came on here and apologized because someone corrected me. Well, because someone corrected me when we did the introductory pod on this season, and I misheard what the description was of what he was saying, right? But the truth was still there in terms of my guy was giving me like weird vampire vibes. So now fast forward, and my guy is actually threatening to drink blood. Yeah. Come on, man. What are we doing here? What do we really do? And even Devin was like, he kind of scares me. It's weird, man. It was totally weird. But to me, the thing that I loved about the deliberation, and I know there's a lot of stuff that was going on, so we might miss something, but like the thing that stuck out to me the most was Burna and Amber going at each other. I thought that was hilarious because like Amber's trying to like go all deep and make this, and Berna's just like, listen, I just don't like you. I'm not here to listen to all your stories. We get it. You won. Congratulations. But now we don't have to hear about you telling all these great stories about how great you are so that we feel sorry for you or you're the victim now. And but like you just go on all these tangents trying to make us feel for you. And it's like, we don't care. And you could see Amanda in the background, kind of like, oh, like she looked like, you know, the meme of like,
Yeah,
you know, the meme. We know the meme we're talking about. So
the
then it cuts to
Disney.
Amanda in confessional, and she basically said exactly what, to use Amber's 90% number of the audience watching thought, where Amanda's just like, listen, I don't really mess with Bettina, or not Bettina, with Berna. Me and Berna aren't that cool, but I totally agree with everything you're saying right now about Amber, because I'm really tired of hearing how great Amber thinks she is too. And I totally agree. I thought that was so funny. I love it when the confessional comes up and says, the person in the confessional says exactly how we're feeling. I love
Yep.
that. That always makes me laugh.
So we get to the lair. Oh, sorry. I should say Huey and Berna do get voted in naturally.
Mhm.
And there's one key moment that we should not gloss over, and that is Ashley
Mhm.
says, if any of you vote, like split up a vet team, you're going to pay the consequences.
And this is what I don't get. Why would you even give them the playbook?
Here's my argument.
Mhm.
Because at first I was like, Ashley, like what? Like that's sort of out of character for Ashley. But I'm maybe I'm giving Ashley too much credit, and maybe she really did just blow it here. But I think that Ashley did this on purpose
Mm.
because if you look at what an all vet house looks like,
Mhm.
it's not very favorable to Ashley. She's got Amanda,
Ah,
and then
interesting.
who else are her allies? Like, she
Interesting.
gets along with other people for sure,
Mhm.
but not she's not like Corey or even a Devin or certainly not Casey and Josh and maybe Amber.
Very interesting. Hmm.
And like the vet war is not that far off, regardless of
Mhm.
what happens, right? Like they're almost out of rookies,
Hmm.
and like
That's
they're not
interesting.
going to be able to keep doing that forever, right?
I
So
like that theory.
I wonder if Ashley is sort of like, you know what? Maybe it's time for this shit to pop off, and maybe I can thrive in chaos
Hmm.
because Ashley, of anyone, does well in these unsettled situations.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, the thought process though was, if I'm a rookie, what else am I supposed to do other than try to break up a vet team? Right?
Yeah.
Like we're just supposed to sit back and get picked off every week.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense. Also, in theory, if you're picking another vet, you're hoping that you're picking a better partner, which in theory would give you a better chance at winning, which has been the rookie problem, is that they haven't been able to win a challenge, right? A
Mm-hmm.
daily challenge. So that's also part of it. But either way,
There's
as you
one
mentioned.
other there's one other thing I'd say about Ashley and her comment. Her partner at this point is Josh.
Ah,
If you're Ashley, how long do you want to be partnered with Josh? Not a
very
great
true.
performer,
Mhm.
almost definitely going to drag you into some bullshit.
Very true.
If you're Ashley, the person you want to be partnered with is Uncle CT,
Interesting. Okay.
right?
Okay.
Or someone like Corey, who's not
Mhm.
won before, but she and Corey are real life friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You want to
No,
be able
that's,
to choose your own adventure if you're Ashley.
yeah.
So
No, I totally agree with you. I think that's super interesting. And I mean, it looks like next week things start to hit the fan. So interested to see how that plays out. But in terms of this elimination, right? As you mentioned, the vote happens and Huey and Berna are going in. And then we get down to the layer. Is that what it's called? Sure.
Yep.
And then Jeremiah's going in as we expected. And for the women, we knew Amber talked a big game. They didn't even try to, you know how we really know that no one thought Amber was going in? Because normally in a situation like this, they would try to like psych us out as if Amber might be going in. Do you know what I mean? They might try to like psych us out. Maybe they'd play a video of like some conversation that we didn't know about where Amber makes a discussion and she's like, you know what, actually, I don't want to go in. Or maybe, you know, she would have given them a look when they walked in to see what the challenge was to be like, no, I don't want to go in. None of that happened, meaning nobody thought Amber was ever going in, right? So Priscilla ends up going in. And I thought this was interesting because we've seen her perform a bit, right? And she seems to be a solid competitor, but this was a really hard elimination. In terms of the entire season, this might have been the best episode in terms of daily challenge and elimination competition, like just how good both of those things were. Because this was hard. I don't even know if I'd be able to do this, right? And I'd wonder like how many of the castmates would have been able to do this, because of those 4 people, Burna is like, was she in the circus? That's her deal, right? So that's super athleticism. Jeremiah is a former football player.
Yep.
Priscilla, which I didn't know, but she said after this, she was like, "Oh, once it was climbing, I was in. They were done." Like I didn't know that was so she's obviously super athletic, and Huey's super athletic as well. But like, I do wonder how poorly this would have been for some other people that could have been in this elimination, because that was hard and they made that look pretty easy. No,
they did make it look pretty easy. I'm very sorry. Someone I feel tagged us or sent us a message about this, but I can't find it. So whoever sent it, I'm so sorry, but I've been scanning. But apparently, this was the best 2 out of 3. They had to do this.
Oh, wow.
3
okay.
times.
Wow.
And that was revealed on the official.
Oh, I found it.
Thank you.
It says like Eric ?
Oh, Eric?
Is the name? Yeah. And it says a little insider info from the Anissa and Tori podcast who talked to Priscilla. The elimination this week was actually best 2 out of 3. I'm guessing MTV could then edit it to seem closer than it was. Interesting. So that, that's the little magic of TV there, right? And a nice little trick that, I remember having this conversation with LT before, which I haven't seen LT in a long time. I haven't been at work. Got to shout that guy out one day. But I remember we were talking before about how do you want to know about the actual challenge? Like we're watching the show, right? So I always talk about it from the production standpoint, and my goal is to just make good TV, right? But I remember talking about it with LT, and his point was, as a viewer, though, I want to know what actually happened, right? Like that's important. So if it was best 2 out of 3, and Burna and Huey just got crushed very easily, best 2 out of 3, then I want to see that, because that's the reality of what happened in the competition. And I remember I was saying, well, if I'm putting together a show, what's more exciting? What's more entertaining? And they made this look way closer. And hearing that now, because I didn't see that comment until you brought it up and I went scrolling for it. So now as I'm processing it back and thinking back to how it all cut out, oh, they definitely tricked me into thinking that this was super close. Because if you think about it from the beginning, Priscilla and Jeremiah were going up there way quick, like super, super quick. So then all of a sudden there were other parts where it's like, oh, wait, this is really close. Oh, they're really struggling trying to cut this rope. Hold on. They made this. And it makes me think now, though, how much more do they do this? I assume it happens way more than gets past me. And I like to think that I catch those things most of the time.
Yeah, it's interesting that they had to do this because I can't imagine doing this 3 times.
Oh
Like it
no.
looked exhausting because so much of it is about balance and the way their arms were tied together. We haven't really
Hmm.
described it. So they had to back, each partner were tied at the hands by rope, but there was slack between it.
Yeah.
And in between them is a pole, and they have to go up the pole back to back. There's notches that they could use as steps, but they're not deep notches. So you
No.
basically have to lean forward to maintain the tension. You have to climb up the pole this way, and then at the top there's a blade. You have to work together to rub the rope that's binding you together and maintain your balance to cut the rope, which then lets you zip line down, and whoever does it first wins.
Hmm.
When I saw that, I was like, man, that's exhausting. And then when it turns out they had to do it 3 times or best of three,
That's
that would be
crazy.
horrible. Your arms would be burning. Like, it would
So,
just be the worst.
who was it? Someone made the comment about, oh, their squat game. Like this is all about your squat game,
They were
right?
talking
And it's,
about Huey because his butt's so big.
but no, I was talking about not that part. It was more at the very beginning when Priscilla and Jeremiah were just like racing up, right? Someone made the comment about like, oh, this is what all those squats are for, right? And it's like, think of the tension that would be put on your legs, right? Like that. And I can't even, I thought it was super hard before, exactly like you just said. And now knowing that you had to do that more than once, jeez. So yeah, I guess that does definitely change it in terms of, I guess Priscilla and Jeremiah really did just wash them. But I thought this was really cool because so Jeremiah and Priscilla win. I thought this was pretty cool because we didn't really see much about Jeremiah or Priscilla. We'd get like little scenes of them here and there, but we finally got to see some personality from them and see them shine physically as well. And I think that's really cool, right? Because you're getting to know more characters, you're getting more invested with more characters. And Jeremiah's kind of been there and he's okay. I still don't really know much about him, but Priscilla really grew on me a lot in this episode in terms of, I guess like not to jump too far ahead, but like she really stepped up for me in this episode and like became someone that I'm rooting for.
Well, I don't want to brag, but I've been on the Priscilla train from day one
Okay. Okay.
because where she really impressed me was I think the very first episode where Josh and Fessy were trying to work in tandem and like we're being really obvious about it in deliberations,
Mm-hmm.
and then Devin sort of like covered up, excuse me, covered up well for them.
Okay.
And in confessional, Priscilla was like, "Oh, I see what's happening. This is a plan by Josh and Fess," and she like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
perfectly
yeah.
read the room. And I every so often they cut to her for confessional purposes or whatever, and she always gets what's going on. She's just
Yeah.
never been in a position to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But Priscilla has really impressed me. Also, not for nothing, she's a beautiful woman. Like I
Oh,
do not mind
dope.
having her on my screen at all.
Dope, 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 dope.
Um,
I also thought it was really cool how well this was another challenge too, where it's a different element that if you don't understand how the challenge operates when you're dealing with the partner, you just won't get it. But then you see something like this where you realize the importance of communication and having the right partner. Because when Huey starts freaking out, or when Berna senses that she's losing and she's now, like, come on, come on, come on, come on. Like, that's not helping at all. And you're just stressing out your partner and making it even worse. Meanwhile, when you went over to Priscilla and Jeremiah, at the beginning, you just hear her saying, okay, left, right, left, right. Like they were in unison as they're going up. And, just having that dynamic obviously was so much better. And yeah, just applause. Get my full applause.
so the big moment of the episode,
Mm-hmm.
Priscilla turns, refers
Mm-hmm.
to Ashley's comment,
Oh, I love
and
this so much.
picks Josh,
Mm-hmm.
breaking up a veteran team. And they all immediately understand that the jig is up, that the veteran alliance is broken,
Mm-hmm.
that next week at least one veteran's going in. Two veterans are going in. There's no more rookie. Well, yeah, at least one veteran has to go in.
Not necessarily though, right? Because you can pick like whoever is
But the House vote team will have to have a veteran on.
Yes. So at least one vet is definitely going in, right? But like whoever wins, remember, you can pick anybody and it doesn't have to be a partner. Like it's not two people you're voting. Like the two people you're voting in could be from two different teams.
You know what we're also going to see? We're going to see partners not agreeing on who to vote for.
Oh, 1,000%.
Because so far, the rookies have always basically gone along with the vet's wishes, or the vet, like the rookie has beef with another rookie and the vet just rolls with it. But we're going to get to a point where the rookie and the vet are not going to vote together.
Yeah.
From the agency. And then we're going to find out what happens. Like, what is TJ's solution to being in a deadlock?
Totally. I think it's going to be super interesting to see. And, you know, in terms of Priscilla, well, let's keep going. Don't worry. Keep going.
Well, I mean, that was the big thing, right? And then who did Jeremiah pick? He picked Tori.
Yes. So the partners ended up being Priscilla and she takes Ashley's partner, Josh. Jeremiah picked Tori. Then Nelson and Big T end up being partners. And then Ed and Ashley are partners. And Ashley is not happy. Like we lost Salty Burna and we gained Salty Ashley. Like,
I mean, she didn't even Salty Ashley. Salty Ashley's the best.
Yeah, she didn't even want to hug Ed. Ed was like trying to like play around and be like, "Hey, I'm your partner now." And Ed's a pretty good partner to have, no? But she just
this situation's not Ed's making.
Exactly.
Don't be mad at him.
I think she'll come around and realize that it could be a lot worse. There are worse people you could have been partnered with, right? But either way, yeah, a misstep by Ashley for sure, I think. And my question too, because, you know, Ashley to me seemed to be backpedaling. She's like, "Oh, I was trying to help you. And I love Ashley. I think Ashley's great, but I think you got to keep that same energy, because that's not the same energy you had in the Deliberation. The energy you had in the Deliberation, that was a threat, right? Yeah. Like you were trying to boss hog and like let her know, don't even think about doing that. And to then now backpedal and be, "Oh, well, I was trying to help you. It's like, I'm not really buying that.
Have you said your line of the episode?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was Tori's whole love for Emmanuel.
Right. There's one thing I wanted to point out that was a big mistake in my mind.
Okay.
Why didn't Jeremiah pick Amber?
Oh, because that's too big of a target on his back.
You think so? Because that breaks up two veteran teams.
Nah, but people want to get Amber up out of here. Like if you go on the totem pole of the vets, Amber's at the bottom.
True. That's true.
And even if you remember, the teaser into next week was all about, I think it was Devin that says in the trailer for next week, he's like, "We got to get out the people who have already won."
Yeah.
So, yeah. If you're Jeremiah, there's already a target on your back. And then you're going to join up with Amber, who already seems to be just causing mad drama at every turn, every single week. Even after, like, Fessy's not even there anymore, and she's still just causing drama, right? So it's like, not a good look. Not a good look at all. My question for you, though, is, okay, so he picks Tori, which I think is a solid pick, right? Tori also not too high up on the vet list, but she's a good competitor, so you have a really good chance at winning a daily challenge. Cool. What did you think of, like, I get what Priscilla was doing in terms of picking a vet, but if that was who are the other options in terms of a vet team that she could have picked as a partner? Like, who are the other, like, I'm
Amber,
sorry.
She could have taken Devin.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Because I'm trying to think, like, if Josh was the best pick, or if it just doesn't matter because the whole goal was just to split up the vet teams.
I think from her perspective, Josh is a good pick because I think she knows that she's not going to be partners with him forever.
Yeah, and then like, who are your other options? Like Kyle? You weren't going to pick Kyle because Kyle and Amanda. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, okay. Interesting. Fair enough. Good job, Priscilla, then. Good job.
On the note of Priscilla doing a good job, who killed it for you this week, Sheldon?
Oh, I know. I've tiptoed around saying it because I didn't want to ruin the flow of saving the last question. But yeah, it's obviously Priscilla. And the thing that put it over the top for me was her speech at the very end to Ashley. Like, a lot of times we see people either win or lose an elimination and then use that platform to kind of spew whatever's been like in their mind, in their soul. Like, you know what I'm saying? And normally it doesn't go well, right? Sometimes it comes off as awkward or comes off too much, but she full on turned around, gave the smoke, like directly looked into Ashley and just said, listen, I thought you said something and I took it more as I thought it was more of a threat than it was advice. And I liked that. I liked that. Just how she phrased it, the energy that she came with. And it's like, I don't respond well to threats. I don't like that. And I respect it. I rate it. So you add that together with the great performance in the elimination, the rookies finally like taking some stake in the game finally. All that added up, Priscilla definitely killed it for me.
I mean, it's obviously unanimous. Like,
yeah,
just making the best of a shitty situation. I think, there's no two ways about it. There's just a great choice, a great move. And, I'm excited to see what happens next. I think it's going to be good shit.
This was a good episode. This was a good episode. I know we were kind of like, okay, there are a couple episodes there. It was like, okay, I don't know what's going on with this season. I'm not really sure how I'm feeling this season. This was a good episode. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, there's no denying it. This is a great episode. Where can the good people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Shell Alexander, on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Hey, there's a football pod I've been tweeting out and we're giving out winners. I don't know if you like making money on football gambling, but like we got winners cooking right now. So if you or your significant other or your friend or someone, I'm just saying, just trying to help, share the good vibes. We got a lot going on, obviously, lots of different pods, lots of different things going, and Raptor season's about to start, so life's about to get a little busier here, but hey, that's what we do. Wouldn't have it any other way, despite what some people might think otherwise.
And you can find me on Twitter.
I just said that. Inside joke.
I wasn't going to touch it. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at jchidleyhill. And until next week, this was You Killed It.
You Killed